Science is now society's new god. It seems every problem and solution comes from it. It is extraordinary that I am even able to speak with all of you through the innovations that come from science. One might think these innovations come from the scientific method, but I would argue they come from something far less rigorous. Let me show you the secret art to science pipeline and how this is the primary driving factor for scientific innovation. Imagine you are a child again. You're sitting on the couch and you see an ad for a new movie. The concepts in it are groundbreaking, mind-bending. I am, of course, speaking of The Matrix. If you haven't seen this 25-year-old movie, I'm about to spoil it for you. Neo is stuck in a monotonous grind of daily life and needs to escape his living hell. What is later revealed to him is he is trapped in a virtual reality, a world fabricated by robots to trap humanity.
Exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix.
How did the directors come up with this concept? The technology at the time was frankly archaic. I mean, this is what you would sometimes hear when you loaded up a web page. And yet, fast forward to 2024, and the conversation about virtual reality is now increasingly reoccurring. Leaders in the tech industry like Elon Musk believe that it is possible, and even increasingly likely, that we could currently live in a world that is virtual, not real, just as Neo lived. The truth is, the vast majority of science is boring. The statement is, of course, hyperbolic. Please do not kill me in the comments. Let me explain what I mean by that and how this relates to art predicting the future of science. The process by which scientific discoveries are made is rigorous, intense, and downright insane. Some individuals dedicate their entire lives to a single pursuit and never get anywhere. Between 1856 and 1863, Mendel, an Austrian monk, spent years experimenting with pea plants in his monastery's garden, meticulously studying the patterns of inheritance. If you ever saw this chart in your high school biology book, you can thank him. His experiments laid the foundation for today's modern genetics. However, at the time, his works were largely ignored or misunderstood by the scientific community, and Mendel died without seeing the impacts of his discoveries. Everyone is jealous of what you have, but no one is jealous of how you got it. Art is the conduit in which individuals can first admire the destination, as opposed to having appreciate all that the journey entails. If you want a future mathematician, you do not show them Bezier curves as their first exposure to math. You inspire them, entertain them.
Well, you have to imagine an outcome in order to head in that direction. And science fiction explores a lot of different ideas, so it can be helpful as a source of inspiration. And like books, TV shows, movies, they're all, I think, sources of inspiration.
You might be thinking to yourself, so what? Art is simply a reflection of the science at the time. But this is not true. Life imitates art. There are countless examples where scientists themselves admit that their inspirations for their work comes from books and other forms of fiction. The earliest and most popular depiction of a space rocket is probably from Jules Verne's novel, From the Earth to the Moon, in which a large cannon is used to launch a manned projectile to the moon. This was foreshadowing modern ideas of space exploration far before any rockets were launched in real life. Nearly 61 years later, the first recorded launch of a modern rocket took place on March 16, 1926, by an American scientist, Robert H. Goddard. Goddard was influenced by science fiction, particularly the works of H.G. Wells. One of the books that had a profound impact on him was War of the Worlds, in which Wells depicts Martians invading Earth. Goddard himself stated that this was the initial spark that made him start thinking seriously about the possibility of space travel. In addition to Wells, Goddard was also familiar with Jules Verne's book. Both were key components that fueled his obsession with rockets and the potential to achieve what Verne's imagined. So when people say life imitates art, they can really say science imitates art. It is likely you were inspired by something that led you to the field you are currently in. Art is not a time machine. It does not predict the future. It generally does not create innovations that we marvel at today, but it plays a pivotal role in inspiring the next generation of science. It's a cyclical process. Science is simply a filter, making dreams a reality so new individuals can dream new things.